Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. One win apiece between Viperio and Bulldog, and only one team can win this next game, and they will be qualifying for the UKLC. Orcs, talk to me about this series. What is going on? How have these games been so dominant, one-sided either way? Who do you think is going to win?
I don't know. I feel like Bulldog have adapted by going on the red side, which is something I talked about and said was favorable. I feel like draft has been a massive thing. I think going into game 2, I did say Bulldog still came out with a decent draft, but I think the Sivir Morg, I'm not too convinced by the Sivir being short-ranged, and Kera just had a really bad game, ultimately. Zuki decimated him. It wasn't just down to him in the early levels. They found some good ganks, but Jenks just wasted a lot of time trying to go for those ganks in the Camille that weren't going to work. And then in those skirmishes and those fights, Zuki got so much benefit from it. And I think that's why the red side is important here, because you're trying to enable Kara to have a good matchup, or at least one that won't get crushed. Zuki hopefully won't be able to absolutely pop off. And then I think you can play around your bot side, give Thomas Go a lead, give Jacob a lead, which he ran away with in game 1, and potentially you can be in a good situation this game. We'll have to see, though, if that's enough, because I think Viperio clearly adapted and they had a really strong performance. They're now the team with momentum. They've now won the last game. Pressure is sort of shifted towards Bulldog, but both these teams, if they lose this next one, they are out. So definitely a sort of difficult place to be in mentally. You just have to power through.
Yeah, and if you're the side of Bulldog, you've just gone from a win to a pretty hard loss. So they've now got to bounce back. And like I said, momentum is really key. It was what we saw quite a lot of yesterday, was the momentum of teams kind of coming through for them in some of these games and in their run through the kind of tournament draft itself. But now it is really all to play for. You just kind of got to put those games in the past and figure out what you're going to do. Be loading into picks and bans nice and quick, and then we'll see where the changes have been, because so far in the picks and bans there's been a lot of attention on the AD carries. Second game maybe a little less so, but we still see quite a lot of AD carries being banned away.
Yeah, and there's an interesting dynamic because we're constantly seeing this Bard and Lucian bans. So I think they're going to be consistent throughout the series. I don't think now game 3 when it's 1-1 is where you're going to throw up one of those. But it just means that we're having a different situation than we would in other series. Typically, we're seeing things like the Trundle, Varus, Thresh, Set, Syndra, a lot of these Ornn as well, banned out consistently. And because we're always seeing these two champions taken away, it's freeing up the power picks available, which I feel like favors red side more than blue side, because blue side, you can take one power pick in the first rotation, red then gets 2. Although in the previous situations, blue side has had a big advantage because you've just been able to take so many picks, because when Bulldog was on blue side, they'd be able to get 3 power picks. There are that many available. There's just a lot of strong champions at the moment in the meta across a range of roles.
Well, the Lucian and Bard, there you go, taken away. The Trundle and the Varus banned away here from the side of Viperio. And now, with the Aphelios taken away, they've pretty much held their bans pretty much the same across all of these games so far. The Graves is going to be the final ban, and that's an instant lock-in on the set for either Penta or Zuki. We'll have to see. Kira gets his hands onto the Ornn. We'll see what else is kind of next up for them here.
So we're seeing the set come out as the priority. I feel like Bulldog could well go for the Syndra here, but whether they'll want to do it with Yorn as well could be interesting, because they were prioritizing the Syndra first pick. I'll have to see, though, if they're feeling confident on that in this game.
Looks like the Jarvan is where the attention is going to be there for Bulldog.
So it didn't have the biggest
really
impact.
The best game? Yeah.
Hey, we're agreeing. Yeah, Jenkas didn't really have the greatest performance on that. Rough early game, but clearly want to prioritize that jungle. A lot of CC potential, a lot of tools to sort of deal with in the mobile AD carry. I honestly feel like an Ezreal wouldn't actually be awful here if Kaz was willing to play it. That mobility just kind of mitigate both of those champions, but it would be a bit of a curve from what we've seen so far in this series. Johnny Recco going to stick to the clear 3 games in a row. Good matchup in the Jarvan, really cuts through him when he tries to go for those engages. But again, my criticism with the Talia is when you pick it this early, compared to the other picks that are typically available that are sort of prioritized, it is a big hit. But Kalista going to come through, really powerful AD carry that we've seen a low priority on throughout the qualifiers, open and closed, but a lot of lane presence, and Kaz can use his mobility to sort of just kite around and play with the Jarvan.
And we did see the Kalista actually get banned in our first 2 games of today. That's the Ziggs lock-in. Again, it could go for Jacob, it could go for Thomas. We'll have to see who takes it where. Remember that Ornn is still technically flexible as we move into the second ban phase. What are we going to get C banned away? There's the TF from Sykes' Yikes. Had a pretty good game one on it.
Yeah, and I think the thing here is that you want to try and let the Ziggs have a sort of free time to farm up in the bot lane. Kallista's going to put a lot of pressure down on him, and that's the big concern. I can see, yeah, support's coming through as the ban. Thresh particularly would make things difficult for the set if he is going support to get on top of the Ziggs. Essentially, the scaling is already heavily in favor of the side of Bulldog with these 3 picks. And it's basically just cutting down the tools that are going to facilitate Viperio to get those early advantages and transition it into a win. LeBlanc and TF, both big picks for Sykes that he could utilize effectively, applying the pressure around the map and in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, with that LeBlanc taken away, it means there's not so many kind of assassin opportunities for Sykes, but there are still other picks up. The Cassiopeia will be the final ban here. We'll have to see where they're looking to lock in here. So time to kind of start rounding out this comp for the side of Viperio, and it's going to be that Morgana for Girish again. Question is it going to be Ziggs Morgana, or maybe like you were saying, that Caitlyn Morgana could still come through in this bot lane if they want to?
Bit of an interesting one so far. They would be lacking AD to a degree if they did put the Ziggs bot lane. We'll have to see. Just shelf that for the moment and look at what is going to be picked up. Azir, a lot of scaling elements. Not great into the Ziggs. This is actually... You could put the Ziggs mid into this, and just the range discrepancy means Ziggs is going to have a good time in this lane, but it adds a bit of an element of scaling over to the side of Viperio in this situation. Could be a top laner support coming out as the next pickup here. You could take like a range support with magic damage, which would cause issues for Morgana, or you could just stick the set bot lane and pick something to play top into, you assume, the Ornn. They could still put this Ornn mid. And it looks like they're putting the set top. They're going to go for the Nautilus. Nautilus can actually snowball really well into Morgana. You do max his Q, his hook. So if you actually get enough of a lead in terms of levels and you max that, you can just break the black shield with that. And then the auto afterwards lands the CC. Then you can follow up the ult. So very strong with the Kalista. And the set in the top lane is going to be fine. Looks like we get the Yasuo. A bold one to come out here. Doesn't have too much value against the Azir. The wind wall isn't really going to make an impact. But yeah, should be able to cause issues for these carries on the backline. They do have a lot of sort of backline threat. You have the Ziggs ult, the Yasuo Jarvan, and the Ornn combo as well. But I feel like it's a little bit of an interesting one. I think overall, there's a lot of tools being given out to Viperio. I like the set into the Ornn. I like the Talia. It's done well into the Jarvan. Azir is going to be fine mid. And Kalista Nautilus, a lot of threat onto the Ziggs Morg lane. If Ziggs Morg falls behind, they will just lose. So me coming out initially from this, I'm favoring Viperio. But there is a situation where if Bulldog get later in the game, they are going to come out really strong on the back of the Ziggs Yasuo. But I think Viperio have come out way stronger so far.
It'll be interesting to see how this goes down. Like you said, obviously the wind wall won't really block too much against the Azir. And by too much, I mean absolutely nothing. Does mean, though, if Johnny comes in, you can block some of the gank potential from him. And Zuki, he's now switching roles with Kira. Kira is up on that tank, and Zuki, once again, actually is just going to be on something that's going to be able to bully Kira around. But Kira will be a little bit more tanky than he was on the gangplank. And if you fall behind on the Ornn, you're still somewhat relevant. It's not like the gangplank where if you fall behind on gangplank, you just feel
become an
so
ult bot.
useless.
You become an ult bot. I think here, so again, Johnny Recco has a lot of options. I would be cautious about ganking mid just because Yasuo is dangerous with the wind wall, and then Jarvan can follow up. Bot is a good option. If you pop the black shield, it's very easy to follow up. Top is a solid option. You can punish this on. But essentially, you're not under huge pressure. There's a lot of strong elements to this composition. You do want bot lane to snowball just because they will take over the game if they do. Set as well, though, you're never going to complain about him being strong. And just my concern for the other side is, realistically, I think the setup in bot lane could work, but it's very dangerous. If you gank Kalista and you miss a skill shot, which is easy to do with his dashes, you can very easily have it turned around on you. And I feel like if Bulldog lose their grip on this game, they could lose the grip on the entire series. I mean, obviously, because last game of the series, but they could really just slip away very quickly. If this Nautilus becomes strong, if this Kalista does, they don't have that many tools to answer. You can throw the CC at them, but if the Kalista is on 3 items, she has lifesteal, maybe a Death Stance or Bloodthirster, it's just going to be so hard.
Alrighty, well, talked a little bit about the comps. We talked a little bit about what we think the win conditions are. The real thing for me is, how are these teams' mentals going into this third game, especially if you are Bulldog? You were one game off doing getting a clean 2-0 into the UKLC, and then they just got crushed. And Zuki, especially considering in the champ select, you said that you were like, I'm not convinced on this Camille. Obviously, if he gets ahead, it's going to be great, but it could be a massive sore point. And
Prove me wrong.
The weakness for their team ended up being their main strength, kind of one-shotting Jacob in the team fight. Just being a constant nuisance and keeping Kira so far behind it. You have to admit that wasn't completely just off Zuki on the Camille. He got a lot of attention given to him early by Johnny. And because of that kind of top jungle synergy, it enabled Zuki just to be an insane carry threat that was too much for the side of Bulldog to deal with. Sorry, for Viperio to deal with. No,
I think the main thing is it shows the versatility of Viperio. Viperio are willing to play around Zuki. They're willing to sort of let him get to that super strong state. Not so much for Bulldog. Kara typically is the weak side player. They're very much playing around the bot side, but ultimately it's like, bot lane is dangerous to gank. It is very hard to land your CC onto the Calista unless Girish gets a good flash binding, which is possible, but again, not guaranteed. And then the lane you realistically want to play around is that mid lane. You want to get the Yasuo strong, but you're against Nazir. The reason Nazir is so good is because he has that safety net. He has that dash. You should never be able to land the flag and drag on him. And as a result, you should never be able to follow up with the Yasuo. And it means that Syke should just be able to farm up to the later stages. Kaz and Penta should be completely confident bot lane, especially if they get a lead. And Zuki should just be able to beat up on Kara. So I'm a little bit concerned. For Bulldog. Coming back off a loss, I think their draft still has some rough points. But they just got to prove it in game that they can sort of play this and make this work.
Alrighty, well, it looks like our teams are loading through on to the Summoner's Rift for our third and final game of this series. Either Viperio or Bulldog will be going through to the UKLC at the end of this game.
Viperio once again going for that level 1 cheese. They have a Nautilus, so pretty effective at this. They should find Jenks here. Ooh. Yeah, they will find him.
Yeah, he stepped up. Does spot him out of the flag, and they weren't quick enough on the trigger, so
yeah, they were
luckily he's able to get away.
Weren't quite looking for him. They're focused on where the Orm was, and they end up getting spotted out. That could have been disastrous for Bulldog if they found something there. And once again, we're seeing vision traded across the map, so they know this ward's actually, yeah, they know this ward's going down. They actually know the position of it as well, which is important. When you know the exact position of a ward, you can play around it, you can avoid it. But you do see pings coming out on the other side. Both teams very much aware of where the wards are, so you can't dodge them. Actually, those two are right next to each other. Just at the top of the screen. So
yeah, that's a bit weird.
Mirrored warding, essentially. Both teams got wards in pretty much mirrored spots on both sides of the map, and both of them have them there. So it's shared information, essentially denying away the invades. Now, this isn't as effective against the Jarvan. Jarvan can flag and drag over the Baron wall and still get to the enemy jungle without being spotted. So I feel like this hinders the Talia a little bit more, but in honesty, the Jarvan's the one more likely to invade, so it does force him to take a telegraphed path if he wants to.
Zuki just going to get himself a nice start off here versus Kira. So you're going to put some serious damage into Kira.
Yeah, good start with the Conqueror as well.
He's going to miss all of these front minions, but same for Kira.
Why does he need CS when he can just kill the opponent?
True. That jungle ward just timed out, and Sykes thought he was fine, but was able to dodge away on the flag and drag, so he's able to escape.
That was like the window. You know, the war time's out, you go for the gank, you're level 2, Azir's not level 3, but Azir able to dodge away.
Oh, flag into the hook. They're looking for Girish here. The Ignite's on. They're stacking up these axes. Can they pull it out? First blood for Kaz. He avoids the last tower shot as well. Exhaust goes down, and that is just an easy kill in the bot lane.
You know, I was talking about the whole momentum thing with his bot lane. That's not a good start. Because at this point, you're down flash, you're down heal on the Morg. Sure, you burnt all their summoners, but it's very much easier for the aggressors in this situation. They land some CC onto you, they'll just follow up. The Calista has so much kill pressure, and now you're on the back foot. It's just not a good situation to be in.
Pressure is building up here for Bulldog. Thomas taking some serious damage from Sykes as well, those Sand Soldiers.
Yeah, it's not a fun matchup. And this is what I mean, is you want to put the pressure down mid, but it's very difficult against Nazir. You're going to see Johnny Wrecker potentially looking for a dive here.
Health bar's low.
Windwall has been skilled by Yasuo. So this is important because often Yasuos don't skill it if they won't need it in the matchup, but he has it available.
Oh, there's so many members about. He does get a good flash off to escape. Well played there by Thomas to make sure he doesn't get killed. And now Morgana's rotating up. They're continuing to apply pressure here to Thomas.
And heads up to sort of level the W. Like I said, often Yasuos won't level it if they don't need it, particularly in top lane if you're playing it to something with nothing you can block with it. But clearly concerned about the threat of the gank. The roam up does only burn the flash of Thomas Go, but it is still something significant. It's going to limit his aggression, going to mean that Azir can put more hurt down. Just a good start overall for Viperio here.
Kaz is actually down fairly significantly in the lane. Almost an entire wave as Johnny's now making a move towards top lane. Kira, once again on the receiving end of a lot of pressure from the jungle.
I'll tell you what though, Kira is pretty good at dodging those seismic shoves by now. I don't think I've seen him hit by one in either of the games. Always managing to sidestep it because that likely would have been his death if he got hit. And they are now potentially looking for the dive, but Jarvan is moving over.
Yeah, going to use the unstoppable. There's the dodge. Not going to be able to dodge out this time. Johnny now looks for something onto Genaxis. Zuki.
Yeah, so Jangsas will come and he'll cover the dive. So that does mean Kera can just TP in, pick up the wave. But it's still a good play. There is CSDI there. You get a kill onto the Talia. And ultimately very hard to avoid a dive coming out from this set. And you can see there, you have to use a Black Shield almost preventatively just to avoid that hook coming in. But once it's down, it's such a long cooldown. You're waiting for the Black Shield. It's so scary, and for that entire duration, you just cannot walk up. And sure, Ziggs can farm for distance, but it's not a fun scenario to be in.
Feels again like Genas is playing reactively. Well, Johnny is kind of free to roam around the map and set up these plays constantly on this Talia. Sure, he's only found himself one kill at the moment, but he has been all over the map at the moment.
I mean, look at this, though. Thomas Go, there's nothing he can do. The wave's frozen in front of the tower perfectly. Good heads-up play from Sykes to do that. The bot lane's roaming up to potentially threaten. And Thomas Go is already 15 CS down. He's just standing there watching the minions die.
Oh, no.
Good move, though. Checking it with the flag. Could have been dangerous. And actually, Kaz and Penta may be overstaying a little bit there because they're actually going to miss this wave crashing to the tower. They should be able to take the blast clone and get over. And thought for a second Kaz was going to face check there.
I genuinely thought Kaz was about to int himself a little bit there.
But
Penta?
he did miss the cannon and some other CS in that situation. So there was a cost to that roam. You can see he's 10 CS down on Jacob. Ult comes in top.
Yeah, but instantly just matched by the Syrian charge to get to safety. So Kira's okay. Got that Call of the Forge God as well. He's feeling pretty comfortable.
Priority bot lane means Dragon could just be started by Jangsas. They also had priority mid. Remember, Sykes was trying to freeze in front of the tower and actually went for a reset and a TP. So, defeat Dragon picked up here by Bulldog. Pretty important. If you feel like your early's weaker and you are looking towards those scaling win conditions, it is a big asset. Right now, they're not massively... Okay, I've just seen something that's interesting.
Go on then.
Is there items?
Oh. That's the solo queue my jungler never gives me blue buff build. That will significantly slow down Sykes' power.
You know, there's been a lot of discussion between people. Some are like, you go Lost Chapter, then you go Nashers into other items. Some are like, you go the full Ludens. Some are like, no Ludens. This is my first tier Azir I've seen. Seen it engage bot lane.
Yep, and Jacob's going to be able to pick that kill up. Kaz unable to answer out as Kira actually gets chunked out in the top lane. Johnny looking for that threaded volley. Will find the slow, but the flash forward will be enough to find the kill. So it's a 1-for-1 globally. Zuki's just going to continue to farm up.
A lot of plate punishment here, though, so it does favor the side of Viperio. And as I said, they will look to play around that top lane. They're putting the hit down already, and Johnny Wrecker rewarded 2 kills there. Now, it's a bit unfortunate. Like I said, momentum really important in the spot lane. And Kaz and Penta have lost a bit there. And again, speaking of momentum, Tier, that does slow down your momentum. I don't get it. Because it's like, it's 850 gold. If you need the mana, then Lost Chapter is 1300. And it gives CDR and AP.
I don't know. I'm personally on the presence of mind hype anyway, so I don't see why he's already got Conqueror. So it feels like
presumably he has presence of mind. I mean, I guess late game is gonna have value, but it's like I don't know.
We was walled by Johnny. Sizing Chef's quite far away actually that time. They've got the Jarvan with him. Slicey Jikes is quite far away, while Thomas was actually able to roam up.
A lot of pressure down towards this dragon. All members roamed up, and although there is going to be a match coming out from Kaz, it's going to be a little bit slow. Now, Bulldog need to start this Herald now. Oh, actually, TP coming in from Zuki on the flank, so
yeah,
they are
looking for that flank.
This.
Penta doesn't have the depth charge. You got to keep that in mind. Able to dodge away from the searing charge there. Now Penta looking to buy some space. Zuki does have the showstopper available, and Penta's just trying to buy some time. He's going to get taken out here momentarily as Kera takes him out with the Q. Kaz on that side lane, just flanking away a massive bomb into the Cataclysm. Two-man knockback does come through as they're trying to put the damage. They can't quite connect it, and Bulldog just destroy them in the team fight.
Just absolutely decimate them. A really awkward team fight coming out from Viperio. Full flank coming out from Penta, who ends up getting caught out, and they just get dismantled. Bulldog pick members to cut down. They go one at a time, and they clear through them. And it was clearly a fight that Bulldog were ready to take. They kept Kera there because he had no TP. They were like, we want to contest this, and they end up just crushing it. Considering my concerns coming out of the draft in this early game, they're really delivering. And now with the Ziggs mid lane and the Herald, this tower's gone.
Not too much they can do about that, and you got that tier as it. You just don't really have the damage to work with. Down goes the turret. Jacob's the one to secure that. The power of that satchel. Just felt like a fight for the side of Viperio. They just weren't ready to take. They didn't really have the items in their inventories to make that fight worth it for themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
sure, they had the CS lead, but they just did not have the power.
And it's just the fight was so scattered. It just felt like Bulldog were ready for it, instantly jumped on a Penta, beat him up, and then just moved target by target by target. And it's like when you have 5 members hitting one person, they go down so quickly, and it's just quick target assessment, move on, move on, move on. And it just felt like Viperio weren't ready for it.
Once again, Johnny is hanging around this top lane. See if he wants to go for anything. Looks like he's not going to do so. Suki just wants to shove the wave in and go for the tower.
$1,000 gold lead. And the next dragon spawning soon could end up giving Bulldog a significant advantage in these early stages. Ziggs at the Ludens as well. This is a pretty big power spike for the champion.
Looks like the dragon is just going to get started up here from the side of Bulldog. Zuki continuing to try and itch away at that turret, unable to get so. We're on a mountain soul this game. Will be nice for people like Kaz to have a little bit kind of extra to work with, extra safety to play around with. If he can get it, but they're a long way away from that if you're Viperio, where it's only 2 to go for the side of Bulldog. They're not letting that last loss get to them.
It's really significant as well with the Ornn, the extra resistances. I think as well with champions like Yasuo diving in, it can go a long way. Thomas going for the freeze in the bot lane. Shout out to LS. And it looks like Kaz not wanting to set up. He's potentially cautious about engagement. Actually, they're just going to go for it if he steps up any further.
Kaz been very greedy here. Looking for the knockup. Kaz is going to take it into the depth charge instantly, but Kaz is too low. Pulls back his one for the moment, and they get the knockup. Sykes is there. The Call of the Forge Squad has been used. It's going to be a two-man knock-up into the Mega Inferno Bomb. Johnny is now just running to the win. Seismic subs one away, but he will be chased down. Kaz just being way too greedy there.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Bulldog was so ready, so set up for that. They had the TP advantage. Remember, Zuki TP to the Herald fight. And as soon as they saw Kaz step up enough, Thomas Go even played it well. He waited till the end of the tornado before he wanted to go in that situation. And you can just see how the gold spike in the early levels, it was looking favored to Viperio, and it's just completely gone in favor of Bulldog. And this is when the team fights have begun. This is when they've started fighting, is that they've just managed to snowball these massive leads. And that was another instance. They were ready for the fight. They knew they wanted to commit to it. They knew they'd have numbers advantage because the TP advantage in their favor. And they instantly managed to blow up Kaz and then just follow on from there. And Bulldog clearly looking to win this game with some great team fighting.
And that is them taking, I believe, 10 plates this game. I don't see if they got any top lane. But first turret blood with the power of the Ziggs, he's so effective at taking these towers early.
Broken Champ, what I'm saying, just destroy these towers. And I think especially taking mid tower against Nazir is a very hard task typically to do. His wave clear is so good, his safety so good. Often he can hold it for a really long time. But the fact that they managed to use that Herald after they got that fight that was nearly a clean ace and then just follow up with the Ziggs, it just applies so much pressure. They're going to look towards that top tower soon, it seems likely. Although they could delay it if they wanted to focus on the dragon, but that's the last data tower available. And once that one's down, it really pushes back the sort of level where Viperio can walk up to in terms of vision. He's finished the Archangels.
It's not quite there yet, though.
I mean, it's just the fact that he's built the full item. I don't agree with his Azir build. In fact, I would say it personally insults me. Like I said, there's been a lot of debate. You may have seen from some of the LEC players around, you know, Ludens versus no Ludens, going just lost chapter for the mana and the CDR, and then finishing your Nash's Tooth for the attack speed and the CDR. I've seen no discussion around Archangels, probably because if someone suggested it, told us it up, but the fight is starting.
Yeah, they're really looking for it. Thomas goes in with the last weft onto Zuki, but Zuki gets a big shield off, finds himself the shutdown as he blinks out there. It's a 1-for-1. Johnny was taken out too quick.
A huge shutdown from Zuki there. Great play from him just to find that kill and flash it out. Not sure the flash was necessary, but he manages to get the 1v1. Just the damage up close with this Blade of the Moon King. Huge on melee champions. And Jacob does pick up a kill on a Johnny Recco, but that was a shutdown from the Yasuo going into the pocket of Zuki there. 600 gold in total on there.
And oh my lord. Kaz is getting blown up.
I mean, he lives, but
Jacob missed a bomb. That's the only reason he missed that.
I mean, it's just the fact you land the Morg binding, the Ziggs could easily land the CC. And like I said, it's a momentum-based bot lane. If Morgana falls behind, she feels really useless. And as well, if Kaz can get lifesteal, like he gets the Blade of the Moon King, later on they normally pick up a second lifesteal item, the poke is a lot less relevant. But when you're ahead, it's so dangerous. You eat one bit of CC and you're taking all that damage. And now this dragon is just freely going to be handed over to the side of Bulldog. That's going to be Soul Point, close to the mountain, and they're trying to trade off for the Herald here. Should be able to do this. They have the vision in the area, but they might actually be
beelining towards it. They want to fight here. The Call of the Forge God's available to Kira, and this is not a particularly quick Herald. That's not an attack speed Azir. That's an Archangel Azir, so they just can't take it down in time. The Call of the Forge God's been used by Kira. Johnny's going to get knocked up into the Mega Inferno Bomb. Dunked by Jacob and taken down. The Rift Herald was leashed up as well, and Bulldog are going to pick that one up.
It's just so easy. You get the Ornn ult to knock them up. Yasuo holds them in place, and then the Ziggs ult just absolutely demolishes them. Johnny Recco a little bit overzealous going for that Herald. He wanted something, and he got something indeed. Herald now in the pocket of Bulldog.
And all right, let's just look at the items.
Sure, let's take a look.
The Blade of the Rune King has not even been finished on Kaz. I'm assuming he's going to be able to get it off this wave or this clear, but Even so, Jacob has got the buildings of the Leandres super close with the Haunting Guys and the Blasting one, and a Luden's Echo on top of that. It is feeling really, really rough if you're Kaz right now. Once again, waiting in the wings.
Wait, Jake, it's stacked.
They're going for him. There's the knock-up. Kaz is going down. Seraph's getting stacked in the mid lane is not going to save Kaz's life.
Yeah, once again, they find Kaz. He's not enjoying himself in a side lane. Typically, you want your Calista paired up with someone, and Penta wasn't there. But, consolation prize, as I said, Seraph stacked up for Sykes. This is the power spike. Herald thrown down. They're going to take this last outer tower. And it just allows them to push their vision line up more. You can see Girish already starting on that in this blue side jungle.
Penta will at least be able to stop the Rift Herald.
Yeah, takes that one down. That big lead. 4,000 gold in favor of Bulldog. And again, into the late stage of the game, I favor their composition. Although I will say, I haven't had an opportunity to see how well Seraph's CS scales. So, maybe...
It's questionable. He's got a good CS lead.
It's 1-1. The game to decide if you'll make the UKLC and you decide to go... I mean, I'm flaming it, but if he wins this game, he'll be praised as being the biggest brain play ever. So we'll trust him.
Providing he carries for the win. If he goes 0-10 and still wins.
If he wins, I guarantee everyone will just flame me and be like, he won, therefore it's good. We'll see. Trust in Sykes. Viperio.
Oh my... He's going to get caught by the binding. That's him dead.
Yep. Phantom Mob didn't even hit. Don't need it.
Now Johnny, he's the one caught out by Thomas here. Thomas is just going to melt through him. They got that Call of the Forge got to work with. Gets the knock-up. Gets the last breath down. Thomas is going to fall. They do get a depth charge off there. Penta are going to try and see himself alive at the moment. They get the Cataclysm. Zuki will fall. Penta is banded down. It's a double kill onto the Ziggs. It's a almost clean ace for the side of Bulldog. That Sarah shield was not enough to save Sykes' life.
I know, not even close. We're going to take this bot lane tier 2. They could potentially actually rush for the inhibitor tower if Ziggs saves the satchel, but I think they're probably just going to take this and move off. Huge play coming out from them. The engage was good. The pick onto the Calista, and like I said, momentum-based. This Calista just feels like a non-factor in this game right now, and the Ziggs is doing so much damage. 8-0-4 for Jacob. He had a rough game too, but he is really bouncing back, and it's exactly when he needs to. This is the game where you need to step up, because it will decide your fate. And right now, Bulldogs are looking at a spot in the UKLC, and it's looking close.
Jacob's Jinx was what defined game one and won the game for Bulldog. Jacob's Ziggs seems to be doing the similar thing here.
I got to give a shout out as well to Girish.
Yeah.
In all fairness, you know, game one, the Jinx was facilitated by the Lulu. He even got a triple kill at the end. And in this game, the bindings have been on point. He's been finding picks on a Kaz as a result. I think these two in tandem have just really been a force to be reckoned with for Bulldog. Don't quite hit the center there.
Again.
Yeah, don't quite hit the center.
Even in game two, to be fair to Girish, Girish was probably one of the better performing players, even in the loss. So yeah. Girish has actually had a really solid series across the board, even including their loss. That very close team fight around Baron Pit you highlighted for Girish's ult was massive for them.
Yeah. I think Jacob's game 2 was actually really poor, in all honesty. There were some oof moments on the Syndra. But I think Girish has been consistent. And I think game 1 and 3, they've looked like a really strong pair together. Maybe enough to drive them through. 6,000 is gold need now. Dragon spawning in a couple of seconds. And this will be sold for Bulldog. They are pathing towards it, but it looks like a pick's trying to come out here for Viperio.
Yeah, Kira is very tanky, though. It's going to flash away. They get the slide and glide in, but it's not enough. The Black Shield was so good. And that's going to be Mountain Soul.
Just as we're praising Girish, she comes in with that little clutch one. And right now, Viperio, honestly, at this point, I think they should have just coin flipped the Baron because this game is not looking good. 6k down, Soul in favor of Bulldog. Your last hope, and things are not looking good for Viperio. And now, going to try and take down Zuki. Zuki level 14 is actually pretty strong. There's a
Gonna use the
1v3.
ulti, get the flash, try and get the taxi away. He might just realize he's in trouble. The satchel gives the last breath over, using the haymaker onto Thomas, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, they're coin flipping. They listen to you. They're going for the Baron. Remember, they got a Kalista. The bomb's going to be pretty big on the Penta. It might just be enough to kill him here. Jacob snipes him down. Kira's coming in with the ultimate. Isn't going to connect onto anyone. Kaz is in the back. He's got to try and get a big old rip here, but they're just going to jump in, catching Kaz out in the pit. Sykes is going to go yikes as he goes down. The Baron is gifted over to Bulldog. The kills are gifted over to Bulldog. The ace is coming down, and this might just be the game.
I don't think they'll quite be able to end right now, but they're going to do a lot of damage to the base with this Baron and the Ziggs. Ultimately, I've got to respect the decision from Viperio. They had to try something. The game was quickly getting out of control. They tried to go for the Baron play. They didn't get it. It's handed it over to Bulldog, and this game is looking over at this point. But you got to respect the attempt. When your back's against the wall, you got to try something, and that was the opportunity. Maybe if Johnny Recco had smited before he went down, would have been able to allow Kaz to rend it for the kill. Ultimately, there's a lot of ifs, a lot of buts. They're in a bad situation, and it just got even worse. We're going to see Bulldog reset. He took down both inhibitor towers already. Oh, my. Look at the item just picked up by... Look at what Jacob...
Leandries.
Yeah, that's
Ludens. It's feeling rough.
That is... I mean, we already saw how much damage he's doing. Oh, and look at this. Okay, they failed
the death
upgrade.
crown.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Currently at 631 AP. No magic resist on Azir. No magic resist on Clister. No magic resist on Johnny Recco. A lot of damage. A lot of damage. 4k gold up on the Clister. I feel bad for Zuki because he's been doing his thing this game and it just has not mattered at all in the slightest. Gonna look to be pushing down towards the bot lane right now, setting up the wave. Remember, level 14 Ziggs, same level as Zuki, higher level than everyone else in Viperio. Tied highest level in this game. He has the Mountain Shield to make him even harder to pick. He has all that damage coming through to him. It's going to take a miracle fight from Viperio to win this one.
If Viperio can find a good team fight, there's a lot of gold they will unlock with shutdowns. But, I mean, look at that. Sykes, that was about 5 auto attacks to burn Genax's shield from the Mountain Soul. He just has no damage on this build right now. Satchel's going to get used a little early, but already they are just chunking it down with the short fuse passive. As Kaz gets almost half healthed by a single bouncing bomb and going in with the Jarvan. That's going to be a big zigzag, chunking them down. Seismic Shove gets used, but Barrage, Bulldog, they don't care. They're just looking to take inhibitor turrets now.
You can just chunk them out, and as soon as they go back to base to heal, you take all 3 inhibitors, and suddenly the game's feeling even rougher. Oh, Johnny Recco.
Johnny Recco's going to go down. Jacob's the one who goes legendary. The Call of the Forge Squad's been used. A 3-man knockout's going to go in. Thomas gets a last breath off, and they just slide through for the kill. Zuki tries to taxi his way out, but he is getting picked up. Sykes is yikes. Jumps out the shield. Jumps out the damage, but it's a triple kill onto Hayam Jacob. They get himself another one. That is going to be the game going over. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Bulldog qualifying for the UKLC.
Huge achievement for them. Bulldog previously getting knocked out of the UKLC and now returned. Very well deserved in this series. Game 2 was a bit rough. I wasn't convinced by the Game 3 draft, but they managed to deliver their team fighting just absolutely stellar. And the bot lane, I feel like just making a huge performance for them. Jacob and Girish really doing a mountainous amount of work in that Game 1 and Game 3, and Girish as well. Supports often are the unsung heroes, but I'm singing his praise. He did a great job in that one, and it's rough for Viperio. They definitely tried. I respect the fact that even when you're in a sort of losing position, they still went for the risky play to try and get back in the game, but it just wasn't enough. So we do say goodbye to them, but Bulldog, as you said, will be joining us for the UKLC Summer Split.
And we've not seen them since spring 2019 in the UKLC. So that's got to be massive for this team. They've got to be feeling so good about getting that win under their belt. And our 9th team to qualify for the UKLC. But we still do have one more spot to go. And that'll be decided in our next game between Resolve and London Esports. Let's have a little look at the bracket to see how everything is playing out so far. Sorry, the standings. See how everything has been playing out so far here at the UKLC qualifiers. Hopefully that comes up now.
Just as that's coming up, I have an important question for you, Jake.
All right, go on then.
Tier is here. Are you convinced?
No, I'm so far from convinced. I was never convinced.
I don't have anything more to say on it than that. It's
just feel like Nash's Ludens would have been so much bigger.
I mean, even I really like the Lost Chapter into Nash's because I think it gives you the mana pool, it gives you the CDR, but you're not investing so much money. Like, it's another 1,900 to get the full Ludens, whereas you spend 1,300 for the pods you really need, then you get the Nash's. It's an interesting one. At least it sounds cool. Like, you're like, Tier is here. But didn't work. But Sykes, you know.
I mean, you don't know if you don't try, to be honest.
It's a bold move to bring out in the game 3. And I respect the fact that Viperio fought till the end.
Hey, the good news is, Lux, you're not going to get flamed for being wrong about this. So you were right. Tirazir kind of didn't really work that well. Obviously, the scaling was there, but yeah.
But yeah.
Unlucky, unfortunate. But for them, that does mean Viperio's run here at the UKLC qualifiers is over. We are going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back with our second series of the day, it's going to be London Esports taking on Resolve. This is one you don't want to miss. We will see you after the break.